I tried taking this intro a few times before this, but every time my eyes looked like they were closed. So now I'm doing it this way. Welcome to Cleff Notes. This week we're watching Yankee Doodle Dandy, a little known film from the 40s. Alright, everybody. So, as I said, this week we're watching 1942's Yankee Doodle Dandy, an a biographical musical on the life of composer George M. Cohan. This film stars James Cagney, Walter Houston, Irene Manning, Rosemary DeCamp, and Joan Leslie. It was directed by Michael Curtiz and involved a whole bunch of other people because this was made right smack dab in the middle of when the studios wielded absolute tyrannical power, and yeah, this was a whirlwind, so let's get into it. The basic thing that you need to know is that this is a biography of Broadway composer, lyricist, playwright, actor, singer, dancer, and producer George M. Cohan, who was at the height of his power in the early 1900s, like talking like 1904 to probably around 19... And, I mean, that's the basic premise of the movie, his career and how he became wildly successful and ultimately was the first songwriter in the history of our country to be awarded the Congressional Medal of Freedom. However, you didn't come here for straightforward, basic plot summaries without any chaos or ineptitude. So, here's some interesting things that happen in this movie. George stars in a play about FDR. George is Irish and proud. George performs in blackface. It was the 1800s and it was a minstrel show. It isn't necessarily politically correct today, but it's historically correct, and yeah, the history of theater isn't exactly one of total welcomeness and inclusivity. Showbiz, baby. He gets beat up by a bunch of kids in Brooklyn because, you know, those Brooklyn folks are a real welcoming bunch. He swindles the Broadway producer into letting him and a total stranger produce the play. He writes a song in 45 minutes. One of the musical numbers involves a large troop of Boy Scouts, and also several brigades of the military, and also Teddy Roosevelt, and also a chorus of black actors and actresses lifting their arms up in tribute to a statue of Abraham Lincoln, because, you know, patriotism. He loved the USA, which is partially why he won the Congressional Medal of Freedom, because he wrote the songs Over There and The Grand Old Flag. I believe The Grand Old Flag appeared in one of the shows that he did. Over There was a standalone thing that he wrote in the middle of World War I to boost morale. And it had such a big impact on the culture that they said, you know what, we need to recognize this man's accomplishments. Oh, and he meets a fun-loving gang of 16-year-olds in a car covered in graffiti who have no idea who he is. And it really rattles them. Alright, so, interesting facts about this movie. I mentioned earlier that this film was produced right smack dab in the middle of, like, the big studio system, and the studio's constant feedback to the makers of this film was that you need to go faster. So they cranked this entire thing out in 68 days. Which means that they were still casting and hiring and like firing and rehiring people the entire time that this was being produced. Joan Leslie, who played George's wife in the film, she was only 17 when this was being produced, like the entire time. They began production without a finished script. The script was being rewritten the entire time that the film was going on, so they were constantly turning in rewrites and having to relearn everything as it went. The character Mary, like George's wife, she was made up. There was no Mary. And the real George Cohan, one of his only big stipulations for this film was that he didn't want either of his wives depicted in this film. So they made a woman up. Okay, everybody, that's it for this week. Thank you for watching, and please tune in next time. We've finally cycled back around to something odd and unusual. So, next week, I'm watching the Muppets. There is singing, there is dancing, there is artistry, and I like the Muppets, and this is my show, and I can do whatever I want, so... Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.